Why in the world is the game changing? Why do salespeople need to adopt more so now than ever? And what can we do about it? I know you've heard some of these concepts, but the principle on this episode today is going to resonate deep within your sales soul. Check it out. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited for this episode today. And on this episode, we have the one and only Mr. Aaron McReynolds. And if you haven't connected with Aaron as of yet, go check out his information down in the show notes. Check out his software and some of the tools that they have that they're offering. And A Great Day in Sales is an amazing podcast as well. We have a link down below, so you check that out. On this episode, as well as with all of our content, we want to help you to 3 to 5x your sales pipeline, and we want to help you to close more business, help you at least to double your close rate. Aaron is going to give you some ideas about why he feels the game has changed and specifically what you can do about it. I feel that there's this human-to-human connection that's deeply we're longing for. And he'll give you some ideas about what he and his team does and how he goes about helping his organization. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, please consider subscribing, and we'll notify you every time we drop something dope. That's all of our stuff. As we dive into the episode, you get a chance to hear about Aaron, get a chance to learn about his company, but also you get a chance to hear about the passion, about why he feels this change has come about and what we can do about it. Aaron, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
I'm so looking forward to this. I bragged about you a little bit in the teaser and your organization, but take a second and tell us a little bit more about what you guys do and why this is your baby right now.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, so Alicio, we call ourselves as a people performance management platform for go-to-market teams. We just feel like the sales organization is so different to the rest of the organization. We're comped differently, we're promoted differently, we're driven by different things. And so, we see, in this day and age, the need for data at the rep level, at the manager level, and we want to put that data into sales reps' hands and into the manager's hands so that they can coach and train their people on the right data. So I've talked about this before. We see the future as a 3-legged stool. The 3 main pieces being customer data, revenue data, and then the third being people data. When you think customer data, you have Salesforce, HubSpot, great segment. You think revenue data, outreach, Gong, etc. And then we say, okay, I need the people, the data on my people. That's kind of where the silence comes in. And so we always like to ask, what does a great day in sales look like? How do you know that your team has had one? How do you as an individual know that you've had one? And then how do you go and replicate that and do that tomorrow, even though every single day in sales is going to be different? So we think those efforts should be rewarded. It should be recognized. And that's what the platform is today.
Dope. I love it. Well, I put a link down below. So if anyone you're listening, you're watching, please go check out the link. What is a great day in sales like? And we need tech to help us with that. And I appreciate this. And I think this is why, because the way that you think and the way your organization thinks, this topic makes so much sense for this episode today. We definitely understand that there is a change. Like nobody in their right mind can tell me that sales, the way that we go about selling, has not changed. We all could agree on that. Correct. The thing, though, that many people don't necessarily understand, we have the discussion like, yes, it's changing, and then we go back and do the same thing that we've done before. But I want to go back to the root. I want to go to the why. Why is it changing?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, and for context, I've been selling B2B SaaS for about 9 years. What worked back then, I don't think would work today if I was a brand new AE. My day consisted of cold calls, albeit not too many, and then, emails. And that was about it. Just cold outreach over and over and over again, hoping that something would stick. And then, kind of the last few years, especially when COVID hit, if you're a relationship-based seller, that went away. Now you're trying to build a relationship over Zoom. And so I think that period of time just changed the way that sales works. And then you think about all these automation platforms that we have. Now your inbox is flooded. Now everyone's got their phones silenced and pushing out cold calls. And so you have to be creative. You have to think outside the box of what has worked historically. You still have to do those pieces, right? I still think that's core to being a salesperson today. But you think about LinkedIn. What a playing field for everybody. We
Mm.
sell to salespeople. That's where they live. Like, why not go straight to the buyer in an environment that they feel comfortable in? I think being present and transparent as an organization, as a founder, and having that presence out there, I think that's key. And I would do the same thing if I were an AE starting today. I would try and build a brand and an awareness on LinkedIn. We've seen the people that are doing it and having success. I'd try and be at trade shows and in front of people and trying to build those connections. We've sent cookies to people to get meetings and things like that. You wouldn't have done that ten years ago. It was, hey, I have my Rolodex, I have my list of companies. I'm going to call them and I'm going to email them. So I think kind of COVID accelerated this change. I think the fact that automation of outreach efforts, has changed, and we just have to be more creative.
Mm. Do you, the idea of being creative in sales? I want to just keep going to why on this because
Yeah.
I can see where you're coming from with that. The why that we've changed, and we had stuff error. We had changes in our era where COVID came along and the game adopted and changed. Early '90s, Aaron Ross idea. Big shout out to Aaron. Predictable revenue model was like dope at the time and revolutionary, but like anything, nobody's wearing bell bottoms these days. Like there's things that change, right? Nobody's wearing those baggy t-shirts and big bag pants that now they're tight jeans, right? It's like there's
Yeah.
things change even from like 10, 15 years ago. So it's no wonder why it would change with us in sales, but it's the idea of being creative though, because some of the pushback that I would get and you probably get is like, bro, that's marketing. And
Mhm.
I don't want to do marketing, and that's not my job. I'm not a marketing, and I don't want to be an influencer, Aaron. So, um, can you talk about this? Why do we keep going back to the same old ways, though? If we only can do cold call or outreach, or only can spam folks on LinkedIn.
I think because sometimes it still does work, right? You can still get meetings from cold calls and you can still get meetings from cold emails, but I think, I'm so maniacal about
Mm.
efficiency. Like, I hate going to the grocery store because I want to get milk. It's in one spot. I want to get eggs in another spot. So I just don't go because it's not efficient. And so I think for me, if I step back and I look at a sales day, like, if I'm not great at cold calls, why spend 3 to 4 hours doing cold calls? It's not
Yeah.
efficient. That's not the best use of my time. You might be a whiz on the phones, right? I would encourage you to do more cold calls. But if I'm good at emails, keep doing emails. If I'm good at LinkedIn, keep doing LinkedIn. So I think you have to figure out for yourself really what works. And I think I would say today, everyone has to be a marketer, right? Whether you
Mm.
like it or not, you have to have some element of that from, your own personal brand. People have to trust you. I had a conversation this morning with a CRO, and they talked about the buying experience of a car, right? 10, 15 years ago, if you wanted to go buy a new car, you'd walk into the dealership, they would tell you about the engine, if it was all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, the specs, how fast 0 to 60. Now we walk in and we already know those things. We probably know more about the car we're going to purchase than the person at the dealership because we spent 3 months watching YouTube videos and going to review sites and reading blogs about the car that we want. And I think that is where we're at today in SaaS is hopefully everyone already knows what Alicio is before they come to the website because there's content out there. They know us, they know who the founders are, they know Justin in marketing. Like we have to be present. And I think, that's kind of pushing people. It's kind of adopt or die. Like I really do think that, the landscape has changed so dramatically. You can still have success doing the things that worked before, but I think you'll have more success and be more efficient if you can kind of adopt to the times, right? Like I think this concept, I'm a millennial, the concept of being on TikTok as a
Mhm.
seller, like just sounds so foreign, right? Like I don't want to do that. But I've seen these AEs that they are on, they're on LinkedIn, they're reposting their TikToks, they're putting their Twitter, messages out onto LinkedIn. They're using snippets of that in videos and emails. They're sending videos in LinkedIn. And again, I think there'll be a time where that becomes saturated again and we'll
Yeah.
have to pivot and recreate ourselves once more. But I think if you're just kind of sitting back on your laurels every day, you're falling behind.
I couldn't agree with you more. That last part there, sitting back on your laurels, you're going to be falling behind. You become this dinosaur. And it's, you mentioned also the term adopt, and, be able to pivot with that. I know, I can't remember if you use this word exactly. Do you say maniacal when you're talking about grocery
Yeah.
store? So
Yeah.
very maniacal. Let's go back to
Yeah.
that though. Like you're very maniacal. You said on keep the meat and some milk and the eggs close together. I agree with you there. Just make it simple, right? I need a store customized to me. Just want these products.
That's it. Just do delivery.
um, I started doing that, and then one of my buddies, he has kids, and he was saying like, "Man, that's my outlet." And I was like, "Bro, that sounds crazy." And then my son is 4 now, and I realized I don't mind the 9 p.m. grocery store run with a podcast or something that I
I
can
know. That's it. That's it.
get a little break. But
Yes.
the he's in bed at that point. But the thing though, go back to what you're mentioning, like executives and leaders like yourself though, like you, if I were to reach out to you, let's go back into that.
Mhm.
When was the last time you responded to a cold email or a cold outreach phone call?
Good question.
Making you think too much now.
I always try and answer my phone. Like
Yeah,
just because I'm a salesperson, I'll
yeah,
answer the phone. I think the last call I got was from Zoom Info, but I
yeah,
answered the call, told them kind of where we're at on things. But like I try and still do that. I don't know if that's normal, but I try and
yeah.
have that respect being a salesperson.
I
But
think
on
that's
the
a
email
problem with
front,
us as salespeople, though. We tend to have more empathy towards other sellers.
that's it. We know what we're going through. Email, I think for me again, it's creative in the email.
Mm,
Not like, oh, I saw you went to BYU. My second auntie went to BYU. Like that's not a valid connection, right? But, along those lines of like find something that we can connect on. You know, I
yeah,
I thrive on warm referrals. Like if someone
yeah,
says, I know so and so, they told me I should talk to you. I think it'd be a good fit. I'm going to be more receptive to that. One, because I have a vested interest in a friend or a relationship, and I don't want to tarnish that, so I'll give them the time of day. But I think that's that same piece is taking an email that's worked once or twice, copying and pasting it, and sending it 1,000 times. It's just not going to work. I don't think it's going to
mm,
resonate. And so, kind of going back to my sales days, I'm still selling, obviously, but kind of when I was in AE, I didn't make a ton of cold calls, like I mentioned. Didn't feel like it was a great use of my time, but I would send probably the most personalized emails on our team. Like that was just what I
mm,
knew worked for me. I put a little bit of time into it. And I just felt like that's where I got the best returns. And then it was like, wait a minute, like I like relationship selling. Let's be in front of people. I covered the Northeast. I'd be out there as much as I could, probably against the grain to travel as much and kind of against company policy. But it's like, hey, just go put me in front of people. Let me go build that relationship. Let me invite someone to a Yankees game and then we can just talk there. I think that's that piece where you have to kind of shift the way of doing things historically and almost I hate to say the word, but like the lazy approach, right? Like I do
mm.
just think like an auto dialer calling 1,000 people, hoping to get someone on the phone, having to kind of come up with your pitch as soon as they come on. Just it doesn't seem that effective. And I know it works for some people, so this may not be everyone's cup of tea, but I think you have to be as creative as possible in your outreach, especially when you're trying to, if you're selling to a CRO, like how many emails do they get a day? How are you going
Yeah,
to get their attention? We were at SASTA last year, and Sam Blond was talking about how someone had reached out and mailed a coconut or like took a coconut to his house. And, it said, like, you would be nuts to not take a demo with me. He's like, of course I'm going to take that demo, right? Like, it's just, I think it's the effort. It's that little bit
yeah.
of effort, right? We talk about, it's my grandma's birthday today. She's 80 something, right? It's like, I just send her a text. Like, that's just so
No.
impersonal. I'm like, no, I should be writing her a handwritten letter or actually
Mm-hmm.
give her a FaceTime and do it that way. And I think that's kind of the same narrative to sales. Like, be personable, be a human in this world of AI. Like, try and
Yeah.
be a human. Write your own emails. Like, be as efficient as you can in that perspective. But yeah, you just have to be a little more creative than what used to work.
I think there's a lot to this too, going back to the and you mentioned it with the millennial thing, and go back to us, like the way that we know the game, like we
Hmm.
literally know the game, we know the plays that most companies are gonna run, and we've conditioned our clients to the same exact thing. The same mousetrap just don't work anymore. And the other part to that too is I don't feel people see any difference between um, our world is so engrossed with entertainment, right?
Hmm.
So we naturally, and I think this is where that I'm bridging this gap from this conversation. And I've thought about this, and I know we need to be creative. We call it edutaining, right? But I'm trying to see why. But in everything that we do, from the billboard that I drive past, from the music that I listen to, from the TV shows and the sitcoms that I watch, the social media that I fall for, like all of that comes back to entertainment and the class of entertainment. So then now when I see your boring stuff, and being somebody who's grown with that idea, inherited a phone when I was 16 as a
Hmm.
as a millennial, most of my life have been in that world of entertainment. So therefore, and also anyone as well, but we just don't want to be boring. Stuff is just lame. And we know that most of those emails are going to be boring. So we are expecting, I think that's the idea why the change happened, is that we have an expectation now that all the free stuff that we get from a YouTube video or from whatnot must be good. Therefore, your emails, your picture, your outreach to me should be good as well.
Great.
I don't know if I'm making sense with any of this, and maybe anecdotal. It's maybe an anecdote, but the point is, like, just I feel that there's some truth to this idea, that our world is so much in entertainment that we are more appreciative when we get good entertainment from a boring place like B2B selling.
Yeah. No, no, fully agreed. As you were speaking, I was thinking about when you think about sports, right? You mentioned playbook. You
Yeah,
know, it's the NFL playoffs right now.
I know, right? My
You've
Dolphins
looked
didn't do too well.
historically, it's tough. But you look at the playbook of what a quarterback should have been,
Yeah.
right? You have your Mannings, you have your Brady's, etc. They had a certain playbook. They just ran it over and over again, and they were good at it. And then all of a sudden, Patrick Mahomes comes in, and he's flipped the script on what a quarterback should be, how
Hmm.
they throw, how they move from the pocket, etc. And it it takes people by surprise, and he's been able to run that new playbook for a couple of seasons and had success. And I think that's the same in sales. Like at
Yeah.
some point, people will catch on. You can't just now send videos in a LinkedIn message because
No.
everyone's going to do it. But you have to be at the forefront of like what is new, what is creative. To your point, what is entertaining. I had a guy that I sold with at Lace Work. When I joined, I was like, "Hey, who's the best?" Like I always wanted to learn from the best. Did the same thing at Qualtrics, and it talked about this guy Luke. And I said, "Hey, what do you do? What works?" And he was a musician before he became an AE, and he would sit down and write a song, play it on the guitar, record it, and send it to prospects. Like, you can't get any more personalized
Oh
than
my
that. And like,
goodness.
even if you don't even know what lacework is, like, you're gonna take 5 minutes with that guy for the effort that he put in. And so, to your point, like, be entertained, be creative, be different. I think it's the only thing that's kind of working in this world right now.
Yeah. Oh, I love it, man. I know we're coming up to we're 15, coming up to the end of here. We're getting ready to wrap up here. You started mentioning some tactics that you are seeing, and I would be open to hear. You mentioned the idea of, like, snail mail, but what do you guys do? Walk me through, like, if I was on your team, in a day-to-day basis, in your position, what exactly are you doing that you're seeing working right now? Specific strategies. Again, some of these people might try to take and use, and then it becomes not as effective. But
Yeah.
what principles are you applying as you guys are connecting?
Yeah, so I know you met Justin on our team. So, we're a small team. Um, we made that hire, and he runs marketing for us. We made that hire probably a lot earlier than anyone historically would recommend bringing in a marketing person. But our pushback was always like, no, like to your point, like everyone needs to be in marketing. And so, we try to be as creative as we can. We run a Great Day in Sales podcast. Why do we do it? Well, we get to go and ping a CRO, and instead of saying, "Hey, look at our product, can I give you a demo?" It's like, "Hey, love your career, would love to have you on the podcast, learn from you." And then in 30 seconds, we get to talk about Alicio, and now they're on our website, and now they're branded with Alicio. And so we get into that world a lot easier than sending 100 emails to a CRO. Hey, you want to come on the podcast? We went to SaaStr last year pretty much on zero budget, ran 2 events, managed to partner with Microsoft and Coder and all these incredible
What?
companies. Yeah, like in our first SaaStr, and I think we were like 4 months old as a company. And so we just, again, it's like be scrappy, be creative. And I think sometimes you get to these larger sales teams, they're just infinite budget and, everything's already kind of planned for you. But as an AE or an SDR, you can still be creative. Like, why not run your own podcast as an SDR? You're going to get people to come on and talk to you. Not only going to learn, but you get to go and ping the right people and get in front of the right people. So we're doing 2 events this month again on a small budget. But we're getting the right people in the room. And again, it's more, I always talk about, I don't know if you're familiar with $1 Million Listing, the real estate show. So Ryan Serhant is on that, on $1 Million Listing New York. Incredible salesperson, right? And when I think about trying to sell real estate in New York, like saturated market, guy came from, I think it was Texas, right? Showed up with cowboy boots in New York. And he's just the most creative salesperson I've ever seen. He talks about this guy, he won't even share his name, Customer X. He was trying to get in front of Customer X for a long, long time, knew he wanted his business. And so he sent him a bookshelf. And he left that bookshelf in his office. And every few months, he would send him a book, right? He sent him a book.
Goodness.
Just sent him a book. Just kept sending him a book. He wasn't asking to, do his real estate business. He just wanted to be top of mind. And then, his story's kind of like the bookshelf filled up, and finally Customer X calls him. He's like, "All right, you're done. Bookshelf's full. You get my business," right? You have to be top of mind. Where like, I just think about the chances of making a cold call, getting someone on the phone who's just like, "You know what? I woke up this morning. I wanted to buy a people performance management platform." Like, chances are small, right? But now hopefully, and whatever that outreach effort is, like we can be first top of mind, so that when you do wake up and you're like, "Oh, I do need to go buy my new car." It's like, I already know the car. I know the model. I know where I'm going. Inbound. And you go and sell. And I just think, that's that relationship side. Be creative, be top of mind, go buy some bookshelves, buy some coconuts. Like, we got to be creative with it.
I'll sell you the coconuts because I have them here in Florida, and we have tons of them. So hit me up if you want some coconut, man. I'm gonna come from Jamaica to another one, so we can put my because when here's the thing that you got me thinking about, Aaron, with that one. I was like, bro, I could reach out to somebody with my Jamaican accent. I don't much do that as much as I should, but when I do, people appreciate it. I was like, bro, utilize that accent, put on that Rastafarian hat, man. And
that's it. Yeah, and I think just being creative, even LinkedIn, like I try and be consistent, and you hit a wall, and you're like, I got nothing else to talk about. Like, just think outside the box. Like, I just did a post the other day about Keanu Reeves. I met him in New York like 9 years ago. He's shooting John Wick, took a photo, great, sat in my phone for 9-10 years, and I was like, wait, there's a good like analogy here, I can share it. And then it just goes viral. It's like 235,000 impressions on a picture of Keanu. It has nothing to do with Alicio. And that's fine, right? That is fine to me, because that's 235,000 people that hopefully didn't know our company before, that now they do. And then when they start to think, oh, I need that tool, we're top of mind. So again, it's just be creative. Yeah. And not everything's going to work, right? Not everything's going to work. So trial and error.
You got to. Speaking about Alicio, man, Aaron, if folks want to get in touch with you to learn about Alicio and all the cool stuff that you guys are doing, where's the best place for them to go? Is that to LinkedIn, to the website? Is there a landing page? Where can we go to learn about you guys?
Yeah, Alicio.ai. That's our website. And I'll give a freebie to the AEs, Aaron at Alicio.ai, if you want to email me directly. Yeah, that's the 2 easiest ways.
Well, I love it, man. Dope. I appreciate this. It's going in the show notes.
Awesome.
Aaron, thank you so much, and congrats on all the fun stuff you guys are doing at Alicio and success you guys are you're achieving.
Thank you very much. Great to be on. Appreciate it.
Listen, that was Aaron McReynolds. Please go ahead and show him some love. Tell him that you heard him here on the Sales Evangelist podcast. And I hope that you got as much from this episode as I did, because I've really considered this idea of what more can we do to differentiate ourselves. There's a desperate need in our industry for us to differentiate ourselves, especially when it comes to our content on social media. The same formula just won't work anymore. You got to do something different. I'd love to hear your opinion on this. You can find me on LinkedIn. Drop me a message. Say, Donald, I agree. Donald, I disagree. I'm okay with that. I like to have discussions with individuals so I can learn, because you have a mindset and an idea that I could benefit from, and I can probably share something or two that can benefit you. Listen, if you haven't checked out our sponsors, they have amazing things. And speaking about sponsors, LinkedIn has a dope offer for you. You take advantage of it, please. And if you like LinkedIn that much, check out what we're doing, because we're teaching folks how they can maximize LinkedIn, how they can join us for this, for a journey. And we guide you down a path of how you can use LinkedIn to be able to help build your pipeline, close more opportunities. Find more information down below in the show notes. I promise 3 to 5 opportunities, 3 to 5 appointments per week. That's what our guarantee is. Listen, I want you to thrive. I want you to succeed. Most importantly, I want you to raise your level of thinking. Go out, do big things, make some money in the process.